Greetings, everyone. We are here to talk about the Aries full moon coming up this weekend, Saturday, the 12th of April, 2025. And in this moment, we are in such epic times. So, of course, the astrology is absolutely just as epic. As above, so below. What is happening up there is the same as what is happening down here. And we humans, especially we Western humans, really like to get into the juicy, juicy details and get all up in our heads about it. So, my practice for this class, for this time for us together, is to really tune into where we can bring this into our bodies and really open our hearts and be engaged with what is happening in a conscious way. Because April's going to feel very different than March and at the same time be a continuation of March. And the intensity level of March and April of 2025 is really unparalleled in our experience. So there's so much going on that like literally no one gets out of this. Like some of the like concentrated beautiful symmetry of cosmic poetry that's happening up there is nailing your chart. Like normally it's like when there's intensity, it's getting some people and not the other people, and the people that it's not getting are supporting the people that it is getting. But like we are all in this right now. And I don't want to pick it all apart. So I will suggest going back to March, the two videos that I did in March to get a feel for the feeling of March, because it's still carrying out. We've got this Pisces emotional wateriness, like this expansive feeling of almost like we're all tripping, like this collective trip. Like I've been experiencing it as like the volume of the color being turned up. Like if you're editing a photograph and you can turn up the saturation and then just like the photograph gets like it's like that is happening to life. Like the volume of the color is getting turned up. And this Pisces season has passed because the sun is now out of Pisces. The sun is now in Aries. So we've got a little bit of relief from that because the sun's kind of a big deal. It's kind of like most of the solar system, you know. But we still have a lot going on in Pisces, and Pisces is the dream. You know, Pisces is the spirit realm. Pisces is the psychedelic trip. And I think there's like a way in which this Pisces season was so profound and so loud that like, yeah, that color got turned down a little bit when the sun went into Pisces, but not all the way back to what it was. Like this has made a shift that is henceforth going to be present with us. And then and so that's definitely still in it, and we're not through it because we still have the inner planets. We have Mercury and Venus both retrograde in Pisces right now. And then we have Saturn there, and then we have the North Node. So we're not through with the Pisces. But we've got this added element to like that dreamy, emotional, like trippy, like wow experience that we had in March. We've got this added element of the lunations, both of the lunations, the full moon coming this weekend and the dark moon at the end of the month, along with the final opposition of Mars and Pluto, um, that's going to be squaring both of those lunations, creating a T-square with both of those lunations. So into this dreamy energy, which has like doesn't make everybody feel like happy and relaxed, you know, like some people get really uncomfortable with that kind of energy. And so we've seen a lot, like, and you look on the world stage, like there's conflict, there's so much conflict, like that's been a part of it. But that conflict piece of it, that like intense Aries fire piece of it, that like ego, like I am an individual piece of it is really getting turned up in April. Um, so Mars opposed Pluto in the first time in November, and then again at the end of the year, and then again for the third time at the end of this month. And that is because Mars retrograded. So this really started back in September. So there's this story, this intense Mars Pluto story that has been in the backdrop of this whole eclipse season that's been very Piscean, starting also with last September. So we've got like these two sides of the coin, like this dream world, this like psychedelic reality, like the shit that is happening in the world. You're just no, like, no, that's not real. Like, this isn't real. Yes, it is. And then this like aspect of like conflict and warring energy and the egos of individuals really coming forth. And it's important to remember that we have egos here for a reason, that the ego keeps us alive. The ego, that's like what it is to be here. We need the ego to actually survive here. And part of the work of the inner transformation is learning like the place of the ego and what the ego's job is and what the ego's job is not. And it's real easy to look on the world stage and see examples of the ego being inflated to be the whole of the personality. This is very problematic. So at a time with this heightened ego, we're going to see that. We're going to see a lot more of that, but it's important for us tuning into our own experience of this energy to like recognize the place to balance the ego. Like, this is like a not taking any bullshit time. This is like, especially for women, for female-bodied people, and for femininely oriented people, receptively oriented people, tend to, in this world of polarity, but that is unbalanced polarity, like that receptive quality of humanity like really takes a whole hell of a lot of shit. And this month is giving us this like really strong tool to like not take shit. So both of the lunations are ruled by Venus. So that means that what the sun and the moon are doing, which is always the most energy that's happening in the astrology, is what the sun and the moon are doing. So what the sun and the moon are doing is very much this like embodied receptivity, like this expression of beauty, this standing in the wholeness of that way of being, of the yin, of the rest, of the quiet, of the stillness, with like contrasting at the same time with this very active yang principle coming forth in the Mars Pluto opposition. And they're in square to each other. So we've been having this like battle of the sexes. I've been calling it the battle of polarities. I started calling it the battle of the polarities. This is astrology for a while now. And the Mars Pluto opposition has really been part of it. But like Mars Pluto opposite each other at the same time, the lunations are in this like feminine receptivity, is like this real colliding of those two forces. So remember, that's going to be happening first off inside of ourselves. And like working that out and coming into balance with it is like the Qigong move. That's like the martial art move of this month, is really tuning into like, okay, I'm going to be in my receptivity. I'm going to be in my rest. I'm going to be in my quiet. I'm going to be in my like not putting my ego forth and being right and being loud. I'm going to be in that, but I'm going to be really fucking strong about it. Like I'm going to let my ego like come forward and hold that container for me. Like hold that yin. I'm going to let my yang come forward and hold that yin expression container for me. So this is an internal thing, like it's external too, but like we got to get it right inside of ourselves to then be able to participate with others, and then for that to ripple out into the collective and onto the world stage. And with astrology like this, like that is so much what is happening, because we have all of this super intense, beautiful, poetic positioning of the inner planets, which speak to our individual lives, while at the same time the outer planets are moving into this like fucking like Star Trek space odyssey machine, like moving forward, like this is what we're doing. It's so big, it's so epic, it's going to be all the way through the end of the decade. Like that stuff is happening at the same time. So more than ever, that means a lot. There are a lot of things that that means, but one of the things that that means that's really coming to me right now is that more than ever, what we are doing in the inner, on the inner planes, in the inner fields, like in the inner work, is reverberating out into our one-on-one relationships, into our communities, and into the entire collective. That is how we heal the collective, is by healing ourselves. And like there's like never a time when it's been more important to add that healing energy to what's happening instead of adding more conflict to what is happening. Um, so we're going to talk about, I want to draw just very simply the lunation, and I want to talk about what a full moon is on a really simple level. And then we're going to draw the Mars-Pluto opposition. And because this is being filmed and people could be watching it anywhere, we're going to do an Aries rising chart. So the rising changes depending on your location. So if you want to be looking at the chart for your location, this is going to be, it's going to be the same time. It's not going to be the same time. It's not going to be the same time. You're going to just need to look up the full moon at your location and change that rising sign. But we're just going to do an Aries rising chart because we're all in different places. So first, what we're going to do is draw the signs of the zodiac. What is the zodiac, you may ask? We're going to get way into depth on all these simple things because they're so deep and just replete with the most gorgeous sacred geometry, but that's for another class. So we're just going to draw the zodiac. The zodiac is it's the visual representation of the ecliptic plane. The ecliptic plane is the perceived path of the sun, the moon, and all the planets around the earth. So it's a path of stars. The stars are fixed, they do not change. The planets and the luminaries move in front of that path, and that's how we gauge them. That's how we gauge their movement. We gauge them against the fixed stars. So these are each symbol stands for a constellation that the planets move past. So we're going to start here with Aries. Aries is the first house. It's the first sign of the zodiac. And my friends are drawing this with me. If you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a link for you to download one of these templates. You can just push pause, go download one of these templates and draw with us. And after this week, we're going to close this container and do this in a private forum. So you will be invited to join us there. It will no longer be on YouTube after this week. Next, Taurus, the bull. Can you see that, Tara? Let me get it a little closer because last week I was painting. Can you see that? How's that?
It's okay. It's better. There. That's perfect. Okay.
How's that?
Good. Yeah.
Okay. Taurus. Next is Gemini. Twins. The first air sign. Fire, earth, air. Water. Cancer. It's pretty weird drawing it from this angle, but I think I can handle it. I've been doing this for some time. Next is Leo, the second fire sign, the lion. Cancer's the crab. Then Virgo, the virgin, earth. You ready?
Yeah, you know I'm being like perfectionistic about it. Yeah, I'm ready.
But you're using a pencil, right?
No, because no. Because last week had a pen I wanted to use, and then you said pencil, and I grabbed the pencil, but I want to use the pen.
Do what you want, girl.
Sorry.
Seventh house is Libra. Can I tell them what you have in your first house?
Yeah.
She has Pluto in the first. She does what she wants.
It's a problem sometimes.
This is like the ultimate authenticity, Pluto in the first. Okay. Um, Libra. Oh, speaking of Pluto, next we have Scorpio, which is sort of like Virgo with a pointy tail.
Okay.
Then Sagittarius. Oh, Virgo is air. Scorpio is water. Sagittarius is fire. Then we have Capricorn. It's my very favorite glyph to draw. There's so many different ways to draw Capricorn. So draw it however you want. This is how I draw it.
I wish I would have watched you do that. Okay.
Yeah, it's got some loops.
Okay.
Okay, then we have Capricorn's earth, Aquarius air, and Pisces water.
Okay.
Okay, so we had an Aries eclipse 2 weeks ago. So we were here in this territory. We're still in Aries and Libra. The sun is still in Aries, but the moon is in Libra. So this is a Libra full moon. It's at 23 degrees. We're going to start with the sun. Sun is at 23 degrees of Libra. We're going to mention a little tender spot. So everybody will remember to be very, very, very tender with all of this extremely intense, militant, easy to be mean energy. And that is Chiron. Chiron is conjunct the sun to the degree. Chiron is the wounded healer. Please be tender with everybody you know, most especially yourself. Because everything that's happening, like we're all just really feeling it, and like we're tired. Mars retrogrades. Mars has been retrograde for so long. Mars usually blows through a sign in 2 months. It has been in Cancer and Leo since last September. Ugh. It's not going to get into Virgo until June. Like, it's so exhausting because Mars asks us to expend a lot of energy, always. But when Mars is like, it was retrograde, Mars is close. And Mars is like, I know you normally expend this much energy. I need you to double it. And we're at the end of that, and it's so, so, so exhausting. And so there's a lot of exhaustion, but the intensity isn't over. So it's super important to be gentle with each other anyway. But then we have this Chiron being highlighted by the full moon. So, like, be gentle. In the middle is the Earth. Earth is here in the middle. Earth is in the middle of every astrological chart. And then over here in Libra is the moon at 23 degrees. So I'm going to ask y'all an astrology question. This is a full moon, this arrangement of these three bodies in a line with each other. Other planets get into line with each other, like two planets on either side of the Earth. And we have a word for that in astrology. Can anybody give me that word?
No.
It's an opposition. And so what we're going to do in my school is learn astrology really from the ground up. And by from the ground up, what I mean is like from the dirt. I'm going to get y'all to go outside with your bare feet and look at the sky and feel the things, and then come back and look at the astrological chart and be like, oh, that's what that was I was feeling. So every full moon, here's what's happening. I'm pretend I'm the earth. Here's little me in the middle. I'm just like a little human. Over here is the sun. Sun's pretty big, a lot of gravitational force, a lot of fire. Over here, so pretend my head is the earth. Over here's the sun, all that gravity. Over here on the opposite side is the moon, all that gravity. Well, the sun and the moon are lovers. They're in their own thing. I'm just in their way. And they're like pulling. So you're like, we're all in a tug of war when there's a full moon. Like those energies are pulling on each other. Is maximum tension, maximum tension. And that's what we're feeling in our bodies. That's what the tide, that's why all the tides rise. All the water on the planet, including all the water in our bodies, which is most of what we are, is being pulled up to the surface. So when you go out on the night of a full moon and you see the moon, you can know that the sun is exactly opposite. And you can put, like, if moon's overhead, you can put one arm up and one arm down just to like really tune into it and like pull that lunar energy into your raised hand and pull that solar energy into your lowered hand and just stand there and like feel their relationship in your body, because it's happening in your body. You are feeling it in your body. All you're really doing is tuning into what you're already feeling. And when we don't tune into it, it makes us fucking crazy. That's where the word lunatic comes from. Luna, moon,
Ah.
lunatic.
All makes sense.
It all makes sense. So now in astrology, when you hear astrologers talking about, oh, there's Mars Pluto opposition, that's a full moon configuration. And so, like the intensity that we feel around a full moon, whenever any planets are doing that, there's a similar kind of intensity because those two planets are in that kind of a dance with Earth. So, as we learn, we go deeper into like what the moon and the sun are doing, then we can extrapolate what we can feel so easily because we can feel the moon and the sun so easily. Then we can begin to extrapolate that out to the other planets. Okay, so what do y'all think about that? Any questions, comments, curiosities?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this is happening on Saturday at 8:22 p.m. Eastern Time. It's right after sunset. The cool thing is when a lunation perfects, when a full moon perfects around sunset, it's super interesting because you know that as that moon rises, it is full. So a lot of times, like the moon won't be full until like 9 o'clock in the morning. So when that full moon rises, it's a little bit there's a little bit of shaved off, and then the next night when the full moon rises, it's not full anymore, it's waning, so there's a little bit on the other side that's shaved off. So this moon, if you can get a good horizon view, like it's going to be a perfect circle. It's going to be perfect because it's very, very close to sunrise. It's just after sunrise that the full moon rises. I mean, that the full moon perfects. So that full moon rising is going to be really close to the perfected full moon. And then here's the other interesting bit that we can really tune into observationally is the Mars Pluto. So we're going to talk about the Mars Pluto opposition now. So let's go down here to Cancer, talk about Mars. So here's Cancer. Mars is at the end of Cancer. It's about to go into Leo. It's at 27 degrees of Cancer. So it's not exact. The full moon is 23 degrees. Mars is 27 degrees. It is an orb. Most astrologers agree on like an average orb of conjunction being 3 degrees. So we've got 3 degrees of difference here. Actually, it's 4 degrees of difference. But what makes this even more in orb is that Mars has been hanging out so close to this point. Like this is where Mars has opposed Pluto twice already and will a third time. So we're very much going to feel this, even though we don't see those numbers as like exact. Pluto is even less exact. Pluto is in Aquarius now. So Pluto is up here in Aquarius at 3 degrees. Now, before the next lunation, before the next dark moon, Mars is going to move into 3 degrees of, on the 26th, into 3 degrees of Leo and exactly oppose Pluto. So we're feeling this now. And then at that point, the dark moon is going to be over here, very close. Let's see, where's the dark moon? 7 degrees, yeah. So it's going to be literally on the other side of this point with Pluto. So Pluto's further out, and next time Pluto's going to be further out of the whole configuration, but on the other side. So it really is pulling Pluto into this, because this is just so looming. It's almost here. So at the same time we have this opposition, Earth in the middle, we have this opposition, Earth in the middle, and roughly this is a grand square. So roughly this, and this is going to be the closest here. We've got a square is 90 degrees. Oppositions are 180. Each of these are 90 degrees. So an extremely intense, challenging configuration of energy that we will all be feeling. That's like a full moon on steroids. Now, this full moon is ruled by Venus. So here we have the yin principle. Mars and Pluto so Mars isn't technically a malefic. Venus is benefic. I mean, Pluto isn't technically a malefic. Mars is a malefic, Saturn is a malefic, but everybody pretty much agrees that Pluto is malefic. and Venus is benefic. So we really have this like additional opposition of forces. Like not only are they in this square with each other, but they are plug in my computer, but they're in opposing forces energetically. But this is very, very good because like one thing that humans aren't good at is balance. That's why we do martial arts. That's why Taoism and Qigong and Chinese medicine practices are like such a relief because it allows us to come into balance. The class I taught earlier today, one of the women was talking about how any activities they weren't talking strategies. I was like, y'all are talking strategies. That was my interpretation, um, but they were talking strategies. She was saying during this time, any activity that is going to be activating your right and your left brain is going to be very helpful. So thinking about something like dance, very physical, very outward expressing. There's this yang element and Mars element of the physicality of like the individual of the body expressing itself through movement, sweat, energy release. But also this like beautiful movement form, the artistic, like coming into cooperation with the way that the body is moving in response, and so it's really integrating like on a scientific level, on a psychology level, we're integrating the right and the left brain. So any kinds of things, it doesn't have to, I just love Taoism, it doesn't have to be Taoist, like any kind of activity that's really going to be integrating your right and your left brain is going to be really helpful during this time. So yeah, but Mars and Pluto, they're brothers. They both rule Scorpio. So when you think about Mars and Pluto energy, like what's Mars and Pluto energy? Well, like tune into Scorpio. What's Scorpio energy? Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio. So that really gives us a taste of their energy. Interestingly enough, though, Scorpio is a yin feminine sign. So there again is the balance. Because Mars is a planet of fire, but he rules this water sign that's also feminine. Super interesting. So yeah, it's like all these blending of forces. But yeah, I really want to be telling people like it's very much both. So I love what she said about doing things that integrates the right and left brain. This is what I've been thinking that's like similar kind of suggestion for how to ride this energy is like this is Mars energy. You're not going to be able to be like, oh, that's scary. Oh, that's big. Or, oh, like, I don't want to get pissed off and yell at people. So I'm just going to stay home. No, like, you've got to express the energy. Like, it needs an outlet. You can't just ride this out and hide, but it's really important to express that energy healthy. So like there's two levels here. The first level, best, if the best you can do is to just like get the energy out in a healthy way, that's great. And then the next level is if you can get the energy out in a healthy way and then still have energy left over to like then do something with it. So this is like this is our evolution, right? So this is internal evolution. This is also how we're building our lives, and it's physical. Mars is always physical energy. So if you can redirect, like not, this is not knee jerk energy time. This is not knee jerk reaction time like that. This is the kind of energy that if you're not paying attention, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Like use that, like pause. Don't not do anything. Just pause before you do the thing. Pause, make sure it's the right thing. And you'll know immediately. If it's the wrong thing, don't suppress it, just redirect it. If you suppress it, it's going to just ravage you, or it's going to come out sideways. You've got to redirect it and redirect it consciously, redirect it into what you mean to be doing. This is going to be, it's going to subtly shift after this full moon into like all the other planetary stuff, but there's an element of what I'm saying right now that really applies to the whole of April. Until we're really good and through that Mars-Pluto opposition. So the Mars-Pluto opposition happens on the 26th, and the dark moon is on the 27th. And then we got a couple of days till May. So I'm just telling everybody, like, just expect this kind of feeling. Like this is the weather report for April. Expect these feelings to be present for all of April. And like the storyline connecting to March, it's like March was like everything we're feeling. And now in April, we want to do something about it. That's like just kind of a simple overarching way to put it. Okay, thoughts?
No, I mean, not yet.
And so what we're going to do here, Amber, I don't remember if I told you this or not in the beginning before we started to record. We're doing the teaching portion and anything that we want to put on YouTube. And then we're going to turn it off and look at charts if y'all want to, but we're not going to put that on the internet. We'll keep that to ourselves. And then, yeah, henceforth, doing this will be all in our own container that doesn't get put on YouTube. Okay. Let me think if there's anything else I want to say before we turn off the recording. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. I would love to look at y'all's charts. So yeah, unless anybody has one more inspirational thing to say to the whole wide world, because the whole world is really watching this, but they could. You never know. This could be the one.
No, not right now.
Okay. Thanks for watching, world. I hope that you come join us in our classes on Patreon upcoming. And if you've gotten to the end, then many blessings of fire and water to you for the month of April. Thanks.